Hello, welcome back to another GCSE Literature Revision tutorial with Miss Sweet. Today we are exploring the poem, The Émigrée, by Carol Rumens in greater detail. The title itself is indicative of the content of the poem. There is a significant contrast between the English "the" and the French émigré. This establishes the idea of two conflicting cultures and identities within the speaker. The speaker in The Émigrée is a woman because of the female spelling of the title. The extra E is a feminine ending. An émigré is someone who has left her country. Here, it's implied, for reasons of political unrest. The poem is told in the first person, with the speaker reflecting on her exile from her home country. She was a child when this happened, and holds on dearly to her childhood memory. This memory is so bright as to suggest that it may be unreliable, idealized to the point that it's hard to say whether it's real or not. The lack of specific detail makes the poem feel more universal, a look at the emigrant experience more widely. Rumens delves into the psychological and emotional dimensions of displacement and nostalgia, rather than focusing solely on its socio-political aspects. By framing the speaker as an inner émigré, Rumens emphasizes the internal struggle and dislocation experienced by individuals who are separated from their homeland, highlighting the complexity of identity and belonging. The Émigrée opens with a mysterious first sentence, "There once was a country." First of all, this phrase alludes to the typical opening of a fairy tale. The poem has a fantastical, dreamlike quality running all the way through, and this line helps set that up. The W phoneme adds to the sing-song, fairy tale-like opening statement of the poem. Pushing this idea further, this also means that the reliability of what follows is under question from the beginning. That is, when the speaker presents the deep love that she holds in her memory for her home country, the poem subtly questions how much of this memory is real and how much imagined. The ellipsis here acts as a caesura, emphasizing the distance in time and the emotional weight of the memory. It suggests a pause for the speaker to collect their thoughts, highlighting the nostalgic and somewhat painful recollection of the past. Bandage up me I with me own history allude to the conflict between Agard's narrator's culture and the one taught to him by colonial rule. There is conflict shown in Rumens' poem by the aggressive undertones of "I am branded by an impression of sunlight." Both poets attach great emotional significance to their cultural identity. Agard's repetition of "Dem tell me" shows the anger the narrator feels at having his heritage hidden from him. Likewise, Rumens' narrator appears to have maternal feelings towards her former home, demonstrated in the childlike lexis of "I comb its hair and love its shining eyes." The importance of language is seen in Rumens' work in Child's Vocabulary, which shows the narrator desperately clinging to the language of her homeland. Similarly, Agard uses a Creole language to represent the different cultures which have influenced him. In Checking Out Me History, the narrator demonizes his childhood through his angry tone and separation of stanzas to show how he was not educated sufficiently. However, Rumens uses light imagery in An Impression of Sunlight, White Streets, and It Tastes of Sunlight to present a dreamlike, idealized childhood. By framing the speaker as an inner émigrée, Rumens acknowledges the internal conflict between imagination and convention, suggesting that the speaker's recollections may be influenced by emotional bias. This raises questions about the reliability of the speaker's narrative and the extent to which memory can be trusted as an accurate reflection of reality. Rumens, as a white woman born in London, uses other authors as a source for inspiration for the poem and does not have a direct link to emigration herself or the trauma which may follow. Aggard, a British Guyanese poet, draws on his Caribbean heritage and experiences of colonialism to craft a poem that critiques Eurocentric versions of history and advocates for the recognition of diverse cultural perspectives. Both The Émigrée by Rumens and Checking Out Me History by Aggard explore themes of identity and cultural displacement, yet they do so through distinct lenses and poetic techniques. The Émigrée delves into the emotional and nostalgic connection the speaker feels towards their homeland, which is now marred by political strife. Rumens employs vivid, idealized imagery and a melancholic tone to contrast the speaker's cherished memories with the current oppressive reality, reflecting a personal and intimate struggle with displacement. The poem's use of vivid, dreamlike imagery and a melancholic tone reflects the speaker's emotional attachment and longing for a place that exists more perfectly in memory than in reality. In contrast, Checking Out Me History presents a confrontational critique of colonial education systems that marginalize Caribbean history. Aggard uses a dual structure, with rhythmic, almost nursery rhyme-like stanzas for Eurocentric historical figures and free verse, serious stanzas for Caribbean heroes, to highlight this disparity. The assertive and defiant tone, coupled with phonetic spellings, underscores the speaker's reclamation of his cultural identity and history. Both poems emphasize the enduring impact of memory and history on personal identity, but while The Émigrée portrays a poignant, inward-looking remembrance, Checking Out Me History serves as a powerful declaration of cultural pride and resistance. The poem uses epistrophe, which is the repeated use of a word at the end of a stanza or sentence. In The Émigrée, every stanza ends with a reference to light. But I am branded by the impression of sunlight. Rumens juxtaposes the positive connotations of sunlight with the negative connotations of branded. This shows how her love for her lost country will always overrule any feelings of pain. The metaphor of light plays a crucial role in conveying the speaker's idealized memory of her homeland and its influence on her identity. Light is repeatedly invoked to illustrate the clarity, purity, and hope associated with these memories. For instance, the speaker describes her recollections as sunlight clear, suggesting an unblemished and radiant vision of the past. This metaphor serves to elevate the homeland to a near-sacred status, casting it in a divine glow that contrasts sharply with the oppressive present reality. Furthermore, the description of her city as white and shining further reinforces this sense of sanctity and perfection. In both Tissue by Darker and The Émigrée by Rumens, light functions as a potent metaphor that underscores themes of memory, identity, and transformation. In The Émigrée, light is emblematic of the speaker's nostalgic and idealized memories of her homeland, which she describes as sunlight clear. This metaphor suggests an unblemished, almost divine quality to her recollections, emphasizing their purity and the hope they provide amidst the present reality of displacement and political oppression. Conversely, in Tissue, Darker uses light to symbolize the potential for change and enlightenment. The poem describes paper that lets the light shine through, suggesting that transparency and openness can lead to transformation and understanding. This metaphor underscores the fragility and permeability of human constructs, including identity, which are subject to alteration and influence by greater forces. The light penetrating the paper symbolizes a divine or transcendent insight that challenges the solidity of human-made boundaries and structures. Due to the abstract nature of the poem, it is difficult to compare to other concrete poems regarding power and conflict. The Émigrée can be compared to other nuanced poems which delve deeper into identity, such as Tissue, Kamikaze, and Checking Out Me History. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please like and subscribe.